This is gonna be a disaster, Caitie. Like,
Six.
those baby pictures are gonna look like Edward Scissorhands got into a fight with Michael.
I mean, if it gets that bad, we'll just shave it off. But like, you know, I at least want to try to save the hair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha. Man,
boy.
Godspeed. I wish you guys nothing but luck.
Oh yeah, bless my hands. So
You know what could be, the ultimate, the good strategy for haircut if it doesn't go well.
This isn't where I thought.
Just
Okay.
go the Jack route. Jack's got a great haircut. Fully bald, just boom, put a couple tattoos on there. Do those at home too. What the hell?
Yeah, we can get some, what do they call them? Poke and stick tattoos?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, why not get a poke and stick tattoo on your head if you already have a full head of hair? Like, no one else is going to see it.
Fuck it. The world's ending. Fucking coronavirus. That's all. Just mayhem.
Yeah, I'll just tattoo my name with a safety pen and some Sharpie ink. That'd be great.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, we're talking about Mass Effect 2 today.
What a transition. Oh, goodness.
Oh, fuck. Mass Effect 2 companion review. We have been doing a bunch of these. What did we do? We started with Dragon Age Origins, right?
Yeah, we've done Origins 2, Andromeda, and
Mass Effect
this
1.
is the fourth one. Oh, Mass Effect 1, and then this is the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope everyone's enjoying these just because, like, we're kind of using it as filler because I'm so busy with baby stuff, I can't be asked to think of topics, so...
I really enjoy doing them, and I think based on the numbers, if you really want to read into that, they seem to do okay compared to other episodes, honestly.
Okay, good. So I enjoy yourselves, guys.
With that said, we have so many characters to get to, and Caitie and I were talking about this before we started. We kind of have to go a little quick, as much as we would like to indulge and take. I've noticed we always take super long on the first person.
We do, yeah.
Which is kind of, and then we go, oh shit, we're behind, and we start to hurry up. So, in the interest of time, we are going to truncate a few characters. I know, I'm sorry, we're going to relegate certain characters to not have like a full discussion. Just because it's going to take us probably an hour and a half anyway, even with this. So, the DLC characters, Kasumi and Zaid, are not going to have full discussion. And also Morinth, who we decided to include generally because she does potentially replace Samara, we're not going to do full discussion there. And we're probably going to do like a somewhat truncated discussion for Legion just because he's only really there towards the end of the game.
Right. Why don't we, because we always take too long for the people we start with, why don't we start with those people? That way we can just get them out of the way.
Oh, that is a fantastic idea. Okay, so Kasumi, should I just jump in? Well, I guess for Kasumi, it has to be my rating, right? Because you said you'd never played her DLC.
I have not played her DLC yet. No, I actually have it. That's a long story. I'm not going to get into. But thank you for the person who donated money for that. I have not actually played it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
So I love these characters. I mean, I don't think that they're bad characters. I want people to realize we're not going to like short them on the ratings just because we're giving them shortened discussion.
Mm-hmm. So what do you give Kasumi?
I give Kasumi a 5 overall for character. I would give her, well, you can't really romance her. So you can't romance her. Playability, she gets a 3. And then,
not great.
Yeah,
okay.
Not great for sure. And then for execution, I'd give her a 4. Really, my only thought on Kasumi is she's super squishy. She's basically worthless for combat. Her abilities are cool. She has this sort of, she disappears, cloaks, goes behind someone, hits them, and then cloaks back. It's a very good ability. I like getting her loyalty just so I can sort of steal that one. But otherwise, she dies way too quick. And conceptually, she is an interesting concept as a thief, and like just her whole backstory is very interesting. She just doesn't have a lot of time on screen, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have. Oh, you know what? I gotta actually keep track of this because I have the spreadsheet open.
Oh, yeah. Your spreadsheet, man.
So we're giving her a 5, a 3, and a 4. For Zaid, he's going to get, as much as I hate to do it, 3 overall for character. You can't romance him. Gets a solid 5 on playability, and execution, I'll also give him a 5. So the reason why I give him low, basically, this is my main thought on Zaid. He's just a bit generic, right? Like, I give him a 3 on the overall character just because he's a merc. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
He's a somewhat complicated merc, blah, blah, blah. He's got a backstory and a rivalry with the guy who started the Blue Suns with him, etc., etc. But he's still a hired gun. Conceptually, he kind of does feel like a DLC character a bit. Great tank. His Inferno Grenade, very useful, very powerful. Another good one to steal via the loyalty power borrowing thing. And I think his saving grace is the acting. The acting is really quite strong, and so even though he's a bit of a boring concept, when you hear him talk about his backstory, you're riveted by the voice. Fantastic voice.
Yeah. I'll pretty much echo that. I almost want to give maybe a like 1 point lower in execution, just because, like, I mean, the voice is good. I don't remember him. He wasn't memorable compared to everybody else, and it just was like, you're a merc. He did something wrong. I don't even remember what it was. You know, like
yeah. No, you're right.
It wasn't stand out. So yeah, I guess so. Whatever your score was, I already forgot what you said, but 1 point lower in execution for me.
Okay, 4 on an execution. What do you give him for playability and an overall?
Playability, I don't remember him being bad, so I'm going to copy your score.
Okay, give him a 5.
Yeah. And that's about it.
I gave him a 3 overall.
So I guess I'm going 2.
You're gonna go 2.
Yeah.
Oh man, so Zaid takes a 2. Okay, so we've got.
It's boring.
I agree. He was that one where even when I wanted to bring him more, if I kind of forgot to bring him for a while, I'm like, it's not worth having him instead of Garrus or somebody, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next up, let's talk about Morinth, who is basically the replacement for Samara if you choose a particular choice in Samara's loyalty quest. They have all the same powers, right? Yeah. No, they have all the same powers except for one. Morinth has a unique power. But otherwise, she is basically just not Samara. She wears Samara's armor. Like, the face model is different if you really look at it, but they look very similar, and she's in Samara's clothes, so she's basically ends up being like Samara. I only did this once. No, not only once. Maybe a couple of times I've done this with Morinth just to kind of see what would happen. I think that having an Ardat Yakshi in your party is interesting, but Morinth herself, other than the creepy, like, I want to bone you / kill you vibe, she's just kind of one note. So I give her a 4 overall. Playability. Crap. I guess it kind of depends on what I give Samara. I guess I'm gonna give Morinth a 5 because I would give Samara at least a 4. I'm gonna give Morinth a 5 because that one ability is actually pretty dope. Again, it's actually worth getting her just to steal it. It's a really powerful. It's kind of like Reeve, but it's better than Reeve. And then on execution, I kind of actually give her a. I give it a 4.
Okay. I never had her, so I'm just basing this on YouTube videos. I would agree, like what you said, that she's kind of one note, where she, like, it's a cool idea to, like, you know, have that type of character. But yeah, it's just she's constantly flirting with you and says, "Let's have sex. Maybe it'll work this time." I like the fact that you do get the choice to sleep with her and then you die.
Yes, you get a game over screen. I thought that was brilliant.
Would we count this as a romance or no?
Oh fuck, you're right. Damn. Okay. I mean, technically speaking, at least as far as Mass Effect goes, you would have to kind of count that. Well, here's the thing. Do we count Samara as a romance?
Now, I know there's some sort of, like, flirty thing, but I only remember it really being in Mass Effect 3. Is there much in 2?
Oh, that's right. You can kiss her in 3, right?
Yeah.
So you're right. No, in 2, it's more. Yeah, you're right. In 2, it's a no-go. Okay, so not for 2, maybe for 3. But anyway, Morinth. Yeah, I think we should give her a rating on romance.
Okay. Well, let me catch up with your scores. For character, I think she is, like, I like the idea. But she's a little bit one note, so I would actually go with 3.
Did I give her a 3 or a 4?
I don't remember what you gave her.
I'm giving her a 3, but
okay. For playability, I never had her, so I'm just going to copy your score.
Okay.
And then for execution, I think I'm still gonna be a 3 because I don't, like, from what I saw, I didn't think it was bad. It's just like, It's not much there. I mean, it was definitely like, we know you guys can choose this, so we're going to put something there, but like it's going to be an unpopular choice, and we're not going to put that hard.
It's a low 4 for me. Like, I still treat 4 as the neutral, like that true neutral score. I almost gave it a 3 because she does get a little like, she lays it on a little thick with like the I'm a dangerous seductress kind of, like it gets a little cliche. But it's not the worst. So I give it a 4, but it's a low 4 for me.
Yeah. Now for romance, I'm torn because it's almost like a meme romance. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm torn. She's somewhere between a 2 and a 6 for me because I think it's so interesting to me that like you could say on the one hand like this is so awesome that you can have the worst romance ever and it literally kills you.
Yeah.
Or or you could think this is so stupid. Why would they even include this? I'm so torn. Also,
okay, I'll say this because technically, if you do choose to sleep with her, it's a non-canon route unless you just stop playing the game and never touch it again. So it's technically never happens to Shepard. So this is a really dumb reasoning, but based on that, I'm gonna go with a 3 because I like the idea, but it's like it doesn't work in the story. It was definitely just like a joke.
Can I offer this counter?
Okay.
I think that's a really smart way that you're thinking of it. I hadn't thought about the non-canon aspect of it, but let's introduce this as a counterpoint.
Okay.
Mass Effect 2 has an ending that is clearly a non-canon ending because Shepard can also die. I mean, do we say that the ending of Mass Effect 2 isn't well executed because it includes a non-canon option?
But there are canon options available. She doesn't have a canon option to her romance.
To her romance, right. Your only canon option with how you deal with her is not to sleep with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, that's a good bring. So you're going 3. Okay, so we're going to go 3 on that one.
That being said, I love that they added that, and I think it's great. And if I wasn't taking this as seriously, I would definitely give it like the 7 because it's hilarious.
Here's what I think. Even though it's non-canon, like I feel obliged because we've done a whole episode on romances, and I was all about like do stuff that's outside the box, like do stuff that's weird and different. I feel like if I don't stand for this now, then I'm a hypocrite. So I'm going to give it a 5.
All right, I respect that.
I like the weird non-canon bullshit. It's funny. Okay, right. Bam, 3 characters, 15 minutes out of the gate. Look at us.
Woo! Now everyone else has... Okay, now Liara was only in Shadow Broker, right?
That's true, and we don't actually have Liara on here.
Do we add her or no? Because it was only in the DLC. And it wasn't like you could bring her around for the rest of the game. It was just the DLC.
Look, I think we have to include her. If we're including... but here's the thing. All those other characters like Kasumi, you can bring with you after.
Now, I will say we did include Talus.
That's right. And Talus cannot come with you after her DLC. But in order to be consistent, we have to include Liara.
All right, with Liara. So quickly, that might break some of the code, but we'll deal with it later.
Okay, all right. So we're going to do Liara. I guess we should just do Liara quick like we did the other ones.
Yeah, I also did not play this DLC, so this is all you, man.
Oh, snap. Okay, well, it's only one of the greatest DLCs in the history of Bioware.
Oh, is it really?
It's fantastic. It is the go-to Mass Effect 2 DLC, and I would argue it's right up there with Citadel for 3 overall, so it's a fantastic one. Liara in this DLC, goddamn, holy shit, she's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell. I mean, now this is really... Fuck it, she's a 7. Character,
all right.
Overall character 7. Do I rate her romance if you romanced her?
Is there any romance bits in there?
Yeah, I mean, if you romanced her in 1, she could be your canon romance, but it's just sort of a recognition of that fact at the beginning and the end. It's not like a romantic scene.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't count it then because we didn't count Talus's romance, and it sounds like it has the same amount of content.
Okay, so yeah, we won't do that. Playability, fucking beast mode as ever. She's a 6. Execution. I think it's Ali Hillis near her best. If not, I mean, I'm very hesitant to give out another 7. I'll give her a 6. So I give her a 7.66. I mean, she's fucking beast, to be honest. It's so much fun to get to have Liara back. Just her as the Shadow Broker, this super powerful, like super in control person, especially compared to how she was in 1. She's a mastermind. She's pulling all the strings, going to get the actual Shadow Broker, but clearly she's like ascending. She's passing up the current one, and it's just freaking badass as all hell. Yeah, she's peak Bioware, peak Mass Effect companion in this DLC.
All right, I'm just going to copy your scores because I haven't played it, and I did that with Kasumi, so it's only fair.
Okay,
but,
so we got
which means Mass Effect 2 Liara is going to be way up there in the rankings.
Yeah, she really is. She's going to be a contender for best overall, which is going to be crazy considering the fact that she's DLC. But if I know the rest of the Mass Effect fans who they're going to feel the same way about that DLC, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I guess we start kind of down the rest of the list, starting off with Jacob.
All right, Jacob. I mean, he was fine. He was just kind of like, there was other characters. It's one of those, like, there was more interesting characters for me, so, like, I focused on them more, and, like, Jacob was cool. He was whatever, but, like, I don't know. Just him and Miranda, I was like, I'm gonna go hang out with the aliens.
They were a little bit boring because it's the same tried and true. Mass Effect has never broken from this pattern of give you 2 human companions at the start and then bring in the aliens later. They just never stop doing that.
Yeah, and it's always a man and a woman. They're always romanceable, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right.
You are 100% right about that.
I mean, I would just go middle of the road here, like which is a 4, I guess. Like, I don't remember him being bad. I thought he was fine. His romance, we're gonna have a debate when we get there, but but yeah, I don't know. He was fine. Like, I really have nothing to say on him.
Okay. So
yeah.
If you're going with the 4, right down the middle of the road, I can respect that. For me, Jacob is one of the most underappreciated characters in the entire franchise. I don't think he's like sky high great, but I do think that he's underappreciated. I like the fact that he's working for Cerberus, and he is really kind of one of the only other characters who seems to be working for Cerberus in a believable, non-villainy, non-sort of like, prejudiced sort of jingoistic way. He doesn't hate aliens. He just, he is sort of a naturalistic, maybe he's being a little bit naive by not being a little bit more perceptive of how evil the elusive man is at the beginning, at least. But he is just one of those people who kind of got pulled into it because he's like, hey, what about humans? Are we sort of losing control within the galactic sphere? But he is very dubious of Cerberus and of the elusive man, and he says so. He's way less of a puppet than Miranda at the start. And if you continue, and as the story continues on, I think he is one of the ones who is sort of along with Shepard and saying, yeah, fuck the elusive man at some point, So I like Jacob in that way. I think he's practical, and I have done this with Caden, Blackwall, all of the guys that I perceive as just being kind of normal guys. I like those fucking characters. So,
I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna. God damn, I didn't think I was gonna go this route, but I'm gonna fucking stand for Jacob a little bit and give him a 5.
All right, that's on you then.
What say you for romance on Jacob?
See, I know he's not a companion in 3, right? So, like,
he shows up, but he's not a companion, right?
Yeah. So, okay, because we kind of did this with Morgan, I'm going to do this with him. His romance, I think, is actually fine in Mass Effect. It's like another one of those, like, cinnamon roll ones where, like, it's just kind of fine. But then what happens in 3 where he decides to break up with you and then have a kid with someone else, like, is just so... why would you do that? Why would you make... Like, not that that's a bad character choice, but, like, from a player standpoint, like, oh, God, like, he just leaves you, and I don't even think he really tells you that much. He's just like, oh, by the way, there's this other woman, she's also pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like I know people have said this before, but I think there's something to be said. Like, the first character that does that in any Bioware game is unfortunately also the black guy. So,
I mean, people made that connection. That's true. They did.
So it's just I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
So what are you giving him for score on romance?
I see. I'm torn because in Mass Effect 2, it's not bad. It's just kind of like whatever. But then 3, it's like, hey, what if we just forgot all about that?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go with a 3. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 3 because in 2 it's fine, but then what they did in 3 was it just ruined it. It just ruined it.
The first time I did a Jacob romance, I was shocked. I thought it was so much better than the way people had described it. I think there was so much attention put on that Mass Effect 3 plot turn that people have completely soured on the concept of a Jacob romance. I think I might leave a little bit more of this in the execution because I really think a lot of it is his acting. He really delivers on the acting scale of it. Mm-hmm. But it's not just the acting. Like, I like the fact that the romance to me with Jacob felt a lot more naturalistic than some of the other romances did. Similar to the Caden route, but different. Caden's a little bit softer. I feel bad saying that, but Jacob's kind of more of a tougher guy. He's a little more of a straight shot, not so introspective.
Yeah.
As Caden. And so I appreciated the sort of respect factor in that romantic arc. Do you know what I mean? Like, he really admires Shepard, and that's sort of like the basis for the romance, which I think is a really underused basis for romantic subplots when it's a male female with the protagonist is female. Mm-hmm. I wish we'd see more of that, so I really appreciate it. And from the aspect of the Mass Effect 3 thing, I think that is one of the most overblown sort of fandom freak out things ever. I get it substantially. I totally get the subjective aspect of it sucks because it feels like this character that you grew attached to sort of, steps out on you. But two things. Number one, conceptually, I actually love that. I agree that the execution was a little thin, and that's sort of the frustrating part of it, is that they didn't explain or give it more scenes or really give it the drama that it needed to really excel. Had they done that, the concept of it, I think, is brilliant. Like,
yeah, that I don't mind the concept again, but exactly what you said. I just don't think it was executed anywhere close to it being interesting.
And so that would be my one sort of pseudo defense of that. My other defense of that, which I'm sure will upset people a lot more, he does step out on you, but it's sort of like, if you look at it just canonically and you don't headcanon in anything else, you had a harrowing experience, you developed a bond, a friendship, a relationship, you had sex one time. And it's been like, what is it, like a year passes between that? Like, it wasn't a completely dedicated, like, long-term relationship. Mm-hmm. It was kind of it was a short-term relationship is the way that I would look at it. And so he moved on. He didn't really cheat on you. I mean, you would have to headcanon in that they had a consistent, like, long-distance relationship this whole time, and you didn't know, which I guess is what players were doing in their head if they romanced Jacob. Mm-hmm. But canonically, that wasn't there. You had kind of a fling during the events of Mass Effect 2. He moves on. And the reason why I think it's a good character decision for Jacob is because, again, there is a little bit of that regular guy aspect to him. Like, he really feels like just a Marine who kind of got swept up into Cerberus and these grander galactic events, but he totally strikes me as the guy who at some point wants to settle down, get married, have a kid, and just sort of defend his home front kind of a guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I thought it was actually a good character choice for Jacob. I actually give the romance a 5.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I would have gone that high given what you said, but I'll respect your decision. So,
playability. He is the human biotic, very much like Caden. Do you have any thoughts on playability for him?
I don't even know if I brought him out anywhere other than his companion quest, to be quite honest.
In the first mission,
really
right?
Him. Yeah, I know in the first mission. Yeah, like, I really don't remember him. I really just stuck with the aliens because I found, like, their dialogue was much more interesting than anything else. So I I don't know, 4, middle of the road. I don't remember it being bad. I don't remember it being good. He was just kind of there.
Cool. Okay, so we do a 4. I'm going to give him a 3. I felt like he was useful if you spec'd him out just right, but like many of those early companions, like he never blows you away as far as... And he's a little squishy, a little soft, and his biotics just don't... If you want to bring a biotic and you have freaking Jack and Samara, and even Miranda, why really bring Jacob? So yeah, I'm giving him a 3. Execution-wise, I guess I give him a 4. I think it's possible for him to go 5. I think that the acting is very, very competent. I just think that maybe there could have been a little more... They could have made him a little less vanilla as far as some of how his dialogue was written. So I'll give him a 4.
I'll echo that, yeah. Because, I think the actor was fine. The face model, all the face models here are better than Andromeda's.
Oh boy, God, let's not even go in that route. But you might be right.
I mean, it's true. But yeah, he just was very vanilla, very plain. Just I don't know, him and we'll probably talk about Miranda in a bit, but just kind of was there. It's like, oh right, Jacob, he existed. So.
Okay, let's talk about Miranda then.
Miranda. Okay. Well, do you want to start with Miranda?
Yeah, I'll start with Miranda. Miranda's getting a 4 for overall character, and I'd love to go higher. I think that there are some interesting things about the fact that she's genetically, basically genetically designed to be a really powerful human biotic. She is the sort of femme fatale archetype.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like a lot of times, like beyond that, it's like, okay, who are you as a character? She has a relationship with her father. She has a relationship with her sister. I appreciate those things. I think those are the things that make sure that she doesn't fall below a 4. But it does feel like the depth to her may have been colored in after the fact.
Yeah.
Like her concept was her look, her biotics, and the fact that she's sort of the right-hand woman, to the elusive man. And those are sort of like, that's like a bullet point character. You know what I mean? Like a piece of concept art and 3 bullet points at the bottom. And somebody asked, yeah, but like, who is she as a person? And then they wrote a fairly competent storyline about her father and her sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. They workshopped her character up to a decent level, and that's what we got. So I gave her a 4.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. Probably more concisely put than I would have said. But yeah, it's really. I feel like it's almost like, oh, I'm genetically perfect. I'm genetically perfect. I'm genetically perfect. Did you know? I'm genetically perfect.
In case I haven't said it enough, we are gonna move the camera angle right down to my ass as I say it.
God. We're putting that in execution.
I just want to say, like, in 2010, it was cool and hip to complain about, like, oh, it's so gratuitous that they did the ass shot. In 2020, I'm like, fucking bring the ass shots back. What are we doing? Fucking YOLO. Everybody's so sensitive now. Like, I'm the total 180 on the ass shots. I was probably writing articles about how this is so sexist and immature for the ass shots. 10 years later, I'm like, fuck it, dude. Bring the ass shots back.
The pandemic's getting to you, huh?
Come on, man. My 30s are getting to me. Fuck it. Let's just go.
I just want a game with tits and ass now. I don't really care anymore.
Old man with a koozie and a recliner with a wooden handle on the side.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, Miranda, she, I don't know. Not that I don't like the characters that are, tough female, like they're kind of cold towards you because they had to be because of their bad circumstances.
Yeah.
But like, it's just something about it just like wasn't impressive. It was just kind of like, oh, another one. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And like, it's like taking her versus Honora. Like Honora, like I feel like there was a softer side when like she came to like her father and like wanting to do that. And like Miranda, I think they tried to do that, but like it just didn't work as well for me, and I don't know why. So yeah, I guess I'm also gonna go with a 4. Like she was fine. I think there's something there, but it just was like,
Yeah, ditto.
So.
Romance for Miranda, I'm also going to 4. I think it's kind of, I'm kind of gonna repeat myself a little bit. There's she seems kind of flat. And then under the surface, if you dig a little bit, it's like, it's just enough so that you can confirm and say, hey, she's actually not that boring. She has these vulnerabilities, but it does feel a little bit like they put that there so that if you investigated, you could check the box. there is some emotional depth. And hey, like, mission accomplished. Like, I think Miranda romance is totally fine. I think there's something there to it, you know, for Shepard, but it does always feel like I don't know very many people who do the Miranda romance and then like sort of maintain the relationship into 3. She sort of feels like the fling, like the canon fling for Mass Effect 2, and that's all she was ever meant to be.
I think Jack's one of those people that likes to like. I think he really likes Miranda.
Oh, that's right. He's made a video about it, I think, or he's talked about it before. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what he says though. I just know he's a big fan of her. So Jack, sorry, we're shitting on your girl here, but I mean, yeah, I would agree with you. Like, I think she also has a well animated one because she's the only one that has like a state where like her clothes come off. You know what I mean?
Partially undressed. You're right. Yeah. And
and
at the time, it was like, holy shit, that's impressive.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god, a bra. So, again, I don't know. She was definitely like the dude bro romance, and which is fine. You need that.
Sure,
that's okay. But it was just kind of generic. It's whatever. I'll give it a 4. It's like, it's a fling.
She's a hot girl on a spaceship. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need tits and ass, and at least tits and ass will give you some sass this week.
Playability, I think she probably falls almost exactly-ish where Jacob falls. She has a good passive in that she boosts the other characters, which is actually, it's funny because Cora ends up doing something very, I like to bring Cora along in Andromeda because of her passive also. I think Miranda's is like, maybe she boosts like overall weapon damage and defense for starters, like a leadership passive or something like that. That's fine. Her biotics are, you know, they're good, they're serviceable. But again, if first of all, if my character's not a biotic, I still got Jack and Samara, who are both better biotics. So, and again, Miranda is quite squishy. So, 3. I'll give her a 3.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I didn't bring her very often.
It's a big team.
Yeah, and I always took the aliens. So
there you go. So you're going 4, 3.
What did you give her, a 3?
Gave her a 3.
I'll give her a 3.
Gave her a 3. Are you giving her a 3? Wait, why is she getting a 3 if Jacob's getting a 4? Do you want to give them both 3s or both 4s? Or you can give him a 4 and a 3. That's your score.
Well, I'm trying to think. Why did I give him a 4?
You said because you didn't bring him.
Oh, that's fair. Let's bring him down then.
Okay, I'll bring him down to a 3.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense, honestly. Okay, execution-wise, what do you think of design, voice acting, writing, that sort of thing?
I think she's actually fun. I appreciated that the hot character isn't a blonde again. Not that there's anything wrong with blondes, just like I feel like around this time, like it was always a blonde. You know what I mean?
Concept art, Miranda was a blonde.
And they changed it for some reason. But like I feel like that aside, I not that she looks bad in the game. I think she looks fine. It's just interesting to be like, oh, she was based off of this one actress, but I don't think she looks anything like that actress. It's just off in a way that like I feel like they're two different people, which is I guess a good thing.
Also, Yvonne Strahovski is famously blonde, right?
Also true, yeah.
Like I think it's part of the reason why they cast her because the character was going to be blonde, and when they changed it, it's like, oh yeah, it really is different, and for other reasons as well, but especially that.
For the actual execution, I thought like the is it the same? Yeah, she does do the voice actor work. I thought she was fine. A little bit like I don't want to say flat because the character's supposed to be like that, but just kind of like deadpan, maybe a little bit.
A bit, yep.
Yeah, but I feel like that works for her and her character almost.
Yes.
So yeah, I guess I would just go a 4 again because it's just kind of like it's all right.
We're right on the same path. I'm giving her a 4 as well. I'm like, God, Miranda is almost like the ultimate vanilla, like not bad, not good character, which is kind of what you would expect, honestly.
Yeah.
So I will say this about the execution. It is very similar. It is very, very similar to Natalie Dormer with Lexi Tapero and Mass Effect Andromeda. And I think that the reason for that is that Yvonne Strahovski and Natalie Dormer have not done a ton of voiceover work. They are screen actresses, and there is something, I mean, obviously, like the sound design aspect of it is inherently different, but I do think there is somewhat of a reliance on your ability to emote and act in a more subtle way because you also control the visual. Mark Hamill talks about this a lot, of course, who is famous for the Joker and a variety of other voiceover work that he's done. And of course, he's fucking Luke Skywalker. And he talks about like, you have to bring a different game. And he said, you're almost fighting your instincts a little bit because a lot of the acting that's considered right on point for voiceover would be considered overacting on screen. And he's like, and you have to learn how to modulate that. And he's like, so voice acting it's a separate skill, and not everybody who's good at screen acting is really going to be good at voice acting. And again, I don't think that Yvonne Strahovski or Natalie Dormer did a bad job. I thought they actually did good jobs, but it doesn't reach that higher level. I think that they maybe could totally reach if they just had more experience with a medium.
Yeah. You know, as a very side note, we blasted Liam on the last episode we did of these because he was boring. Apparently, his actor's a screen actor. So...
That's fine. It's still not good, but...
No, it's funny that you mentioned that. And, like, we have these two ladies that are like, well, I mean, they did a job and it's all right. And then poor Liam's guy just...
they did better jobs than him, though. Like,
I'm not trying to, like, defend the guy. I'm just saying that, like, that is
interesting.
Makes sense.
I did not know that, but now that you say that, it's a very similar but more extreme version of it. Yeah.
Anyway,
let's talk about your girl. You can go first on this one, Tali.
Tali. Tali. I think Tali is maybe my favorite Bioware character because I love her so much. She's also the only, like, before Pops got real big, I bought a Tali Pop, and now I'm like, I don't know if I regret this or not. But I love how dorky she is in a sense, but it's not about, like, well, there is, like, you know, that musical she likes in 3, but it's just about, like, science and the engineering she does, and, like, she really knows what she's talking about. And then also is it 2 that we learn about her father and, like, that stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and, like, the that she really cares about her family and her people, and she's really trying to work towards something with that. I really like that idea. Because that's pretty much everything that I value as well. So, like, I don't know. I really identify with Tali in that, and I love her design because, like, it's purple. And I think the Corians are just well designed too because they're interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I just really like Tali's character a whole bunch, and I think she had one of the better arcs in the Mass Effect 2 storyline, just because, like, you have to decide if you want to clear her name. Because, and, like, you know, poo-poo her father, or do what she wants to do, where she wants to clear her father's name, but then she gets exiled, you know? So I don't know, I like that, like, I don't know, the self-sacrifice I always thought was nice. So I guess, overall character, like, she has a unique personality, like, she's like no one else, she's not bland, she definitely has things she wants to say, like, I guess I would go...
Swing for the fences. We all know you want to. Come on.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said swing for the fences. We all know you want to. She deserves it.
I'll make a 7. I like her. I just love her so much.
You're 100% correct. I'm giving her a 7 also.
Yeah. Good.
She is... It's one of the... Let's just start here. It's one of the best loyalty missions of any type of loyalty mission ever. It's a goddamn perfect set of mission. Like, for Mass Effect... Going to the heart of an alien culture, which has been heretofore spoken of but not seen at that point in Mass Effect 2. So we're going to the flotilla, to the Quarian fleet for the first time. We're getting to do peak Bioware politics dialogue, right? Like 2 long, lengthy scenes where you have to pick the right dialogue choices, and you have to pass persuasion checks, and you have to have and you have to have found the stuff out in the mission that you had to find in order to get the right dialogue choices. Plus, going onto a derelict spaceship and fighting space robots, you know, with your pal Tali. It is a goddamn perfect Mass Effect mission. I love doing it every time. So just that alone, I think, is brilliant. I think you said everything else correctly about Tali, about how unique she is, etc. So yeah, she gets a 7 overall.
Yeah. And I also like that when she finds out, like, you're with Cerberus, she's like, oh, like, it makes sense. You know, she's like, I don't know about this, but I'll go with you, but no, be careful for these people.
100%. I'm so glad. I thought of saying that, and then I forgot, and I'm so glad you reminded me. That is excellent. And she doesn't go with you right away. When she meets you the first time in that mission, she's like, nah, man, you're with Cerberus. I can't do this. And she bounces. And everybody at that point was like, oh, shit, I thought Tali was joining the crew. And then you have to get her later when there is a little more at stake. And I think, quite frankly, after Shepard has proven that he's not just following whatever Cerberus is saying. So her skepticism, the fact that you can actually lose her loyalty after gaining it, which I think is one of the only characters where that's ever possible, depending on how you handle the fight between her and Legion. Brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. Yeah. Did you ever romance Tali?
No, I played a woman, so I couldn't. Let me tell you, though, if I could have, I would have.
Romance that Tali.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did watch it, and I remember it being very sweet and, like, really cute, you know? I almost want to say it's like the Cullen, but with a female, where things are just really cutesy. Michael, I know he didn't. The character he played, he didn't romance anyway. He's the one guy whose canon Shepard didn't romance anybody. But anyway, but he did say Tali was really adorable for him, and like he liked, like, you know, this is probably going to say a lot about how I was as a young lady too, but just like that awkward, like, I can tell you're into me, but you don't want to say it, but don't worry, I know.
Sure.
Like, type of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, and, like, I think she also has, like, kind of, like, the, look, I'm a weird alien, I'm in a suit, like, we don't work quite right, you don't want me, and the Shepard could be like, no, it's okay, it's fine, you're cute, you're adorable. So, I don't know, I like her a lot, but I also it's just one of those cinnamon roll romances, which I think is good. So, like, I guess I would just go, like, a 5. Like, it's something that was needed, but it's not, like, anything that's super compelling or anything.
Yeah.
I know of it.
I think 5 is a good score. I am not... I just, for whatever reason, I don't stand for Tali's romance the way that some people do. I do think that although they definitely treat it as a unique aspect that is good, the whole suit thing, and the fact that you can't see her face, the whole... Like, it does kind of cut down on the ability to relate. Thankfully, her voice acting is so strong, and the character quirks are so endearing that you get past that. So I give it a 5 also. Playability.
Hey, look, I can actually talk about this now.
You love the goddamn drone. I feel like you've been waiting 2 episodes to talk about the drone.
I love the drone so much. It's like because I also got the drone abilities, so I always forget what she called her drone. So the both of us would send our drones out, and I always felt like buddies, you know, that type of thing. But I love, like, I'm gonna call them summoner characters, where they can, like, summon something else to fight for them. I love those types of abilities. So because it's just so nice to have, like, enemies go shoot that thing over there, like, it's run a distraction. I love that type of thing. So, like, I'm gonna give her a 6 just because I use that all of the time, and I found it extremely helpful. And then her hacking abilities, if that's in this one, right? That's not 3.
Hacking is in all of them.
All of them. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I liked her a lot. I pretty much always had her and Garrus, so she was my A team.
Yeah, I fucking love Tali for the same reason, and you're entirely right. Like a summoner or a construct, they they'll call them constructs in Andromeda. I love that shit. And when you're doing a tech build and you have Tali and you both have drones, it feels like you're cheating. It feels like you're getting away with something. Like if you were employing that strategy against a person, like if the Geth was your buddy on the couch, like they would be throwing the controller. Like, you're cheating. This shouldn't be allowed.
But good.
Tali wrecks the Geth, and there's always Geth in Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, but I just feel like you're always fighting the Geth. In 2, which probably isn't true. You probably fight Geth more in 1. But she just fucking wrecks Geth, and I goddamn love her for that reason. I'm gonna give her a 7. I'm giving her a 7 on gameplay. You went 6, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got a 6 and a 7. Execution. What say you?
I mean, the only thing I feel like I can complain about Oh, you know what? That's actually in 3, so I'll save that. Where like she gives a picture of herself.
Oh, it's got the fake face that they Google images.
Yeah, I forget, one of the concept artists had like this extremely alien concept art where she like it's so almost like stunningly alien. You know what I mean? It just like it doesn't really look human. That always what I always thought Tali looked like. I wanted her to take off the face mask and you're like, huh. That's what I wanted. But that's in 3. We can talk about that. Right? It is in 3?
That's in 3 when you get the portrait, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So with 2, though, like, no, I think it was fine. I don't mind not seeing her face. I don't mind it being a 3 reveal, even though I don't like the reveal. But I guess because the romance is just kind of like, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm gonna say a 6.
Okay.
But, like, everything else is, oh! I just hit my hands so bad.
Oh, no.
It hurts. Oh, God.
Metagel. Metagel.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm still going with the 6, despite fate apparently not wanting me to do that. But yeah, no, I love her to pieces. And like, I feel like I can't complain that much, but yeah.
Just so I can commiserate with your pain, this morning when I was in a rut, nobody knows this, but this morning, because I slept too late, I was rushing to try and make some bacon and toast before we sat down to record this, and I totally, like, knocked a pan off of the counter, and it, like, tumbled in a way where it just hit right into my shin.
Ooh, ow.
So that's got a little scab for me now.
Oh. Oof, yeah.
We're in the ER here. We're banged up. We're playing hurt, folks. We're fighting through the pain.
Oh God. What would you give her overall?
I'm gonna give her a 6 overall. I think it's very, very good. I don't want to harp on this too much because I don't want to discourage. I like character designs that don't necessarily fit the mold. However, having the mask on the face, I think it does work as a barrier. Again, it's still a very high score. 6 is still a very high score because the voice acting and the character themselves is so. She has unique dialogue. You always know it's Tali talking, even if you read it on a paper. Like, she speaks in a unique way. The voice is unique. The character is unique. I give it a 6 overall. Just See,
I don't mind the mask as much. I just feel like I wish there was more expression behind the mask. Like, they didn't really animate her face.
You're right. Actually, that's very, very true. You're totally right. So yeah, anyway, Tali, killing it, without a doubt.
Love Tali.
Okay, yeah, next up, here we go. The other major contender here, Garrus.
Oh, Garrus. He and my romance. I feel like I have more to say on the romance.
What do you give Garrus overall?
I mean, he's your buddy, right? Like, there's something about he's kind of like the Varric in a sense where he really is designed to just be like, oh man, look at this shit, like half the time.
Yeah.
And like, it's nice to have that. And like, there's also like, because while he was in 1, it's kind of setting it up more in 2 because like, he had to go become the Archangel, and then you're both kind of rogues in a way now because you're not really with C-Sec and the Shepherds. Not the Shepherds, the Spectres. Spectres. Yeah, there we go.
That's what they should call it in Mass Effect Andromeda too, the Shepherds.
The Shepherds. Yeah, why not? But I really liked Garrus. I feel like I really can't complain anything about the character because like he was witty. He was just like he was someone that was like a good buddy to you. He seemed like he really cared about the mission. I guess I would also go 7. Like he's your bud. I don't know.
Okay.
Again, and I would also bring him everywhere, and I liked his dialogue.
You're 100% right. He is a 7. I would give him an 8 if I could. I think Garrus in Mass Effect 2 is like this is where we break out all the stops, right? Like, this guy is a contender for the greatest of all time. Like, he is outstanding. It's going to sound weird because I don't want to just like harp on other stuff, and I love Andromeda. Everybody knows I love Andromeda, but in order to really talk about how good Garrus is, I kind of want to compare him to the Andromeda crew. And the reason why is because I feel like in Mass Effect 2, with almost all of the characters, but especially with Garrus, it's as though Bioware just gave themselves license to write the coolest fucking character that they could possibly come up with. Like, Mass Effect 1, I think they were still grounded in the we want to make a somewhat naturalistic, somewhat realistic space game, which I love. I love the fact that ME1 is different for that reason. But Mass Effect 2 was really kind of the start of the, okay, we're making kind of a cool, gritty space, not space opera, but like space fucking badasses show. He's a goddamn former CSEC agent who went to the roughest spot in the galaxy specifically to take on basically the cartels, right? Like the merc gangs, and formed his own gang of former badasses who he's the leader of. And then they killed his gang in a betrayal. And now he is single-handedly sniping the shit out of all 3 merc gangs, single-handedly killing scores of them. Like, they're just throwing themselves against him. He's a one-man army. He gets his fucking face blown off, and he's just like, yeah, what? I'm not as pretty anymore? Let's go kill the fucking Reapers, bitch. Like...
And here's the thing, it's also believable. Like, I feel like you could write that with someone else, and you're like, all right, come on, guys, tone it down. But for Garrus, you're like, okay, all right.
Like, patch up my face, give me my fucking sniper rifle, and get out of the way. And it's just like, and in Andromeda, it's almost like it's a very, I hate to put it in this way, I know I'm probably going to make people mad, but it's such a, like a, 2017 millennial, like, guilty for being cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, they turned the volume down on purpose. They tried too hard to make everyone super relatable. And I'm like, why don't you just write a badass character unapologetically? That's what Garrus is. He's unapologetically a fucking badass. And he's not a meathead. He's a badass. He has a conscience. He thinks. He's smart. He's funny. He's witty. He has morals. He has doubts. He thinks about, what his morals should be. He's loyal to his people and to his sort of his country, his planet, whatever you want to say. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. He's a 7 out of 7. I wish I could give him a fucking 8.
Yep.
What say you on romance?
So, I mean, he was the romance I went with, and I guess what I liked about it, and like I almost went with Thane, which we'll talk about that in a minute. But what I really liked about Garrus is that you formed a friendship first. And that is so, or at least I felt you did. So, I feel like with a lot of the other, like even the Dragon Age ones, you're not necessarily friends first. You're just immediately like sexually attracted to them and you go for it. But like in reality, like, I mean, like I was friends with I was always attracted to Michael, I'll say that. But like we became friends first before like we really jumped the gun. But, and like, that's how I think most relationships are. Like, they're based on a friendship, and the lasting ones are based on, that companionship, and not so much like, oh, we're sexually attracted to each other. Because, like, let's be honest, I mean, I don't really think he's a handsome alien. Like, it's a bug man. There's the voice. We'll get there. But, like, that's about it, But, like, his personality and his friendship is, like, it's there, and it's so solid. So, I'm gonna give it. I'm between a 6 and a 7 because I do really like it a lot, and it's probably it's probably the best romance in Mass Effect. We're grading it on Mass Effect because I'm thinking of Dragon Age 1, so I'm gonna say 7 because I still think it's the best romance in the Mass Effect series.
I feel like I think you can apply this however you like. I'm thinking of all my ratings as far as the catalog, so I'm crossing over between Mass Effect and Dragon Age. But you're saying 7?
Yeah,
I'm gonna fight you on your 7. If you really like the 7, I'll tell you what. You have talked me up on Garrus romance so much over the years. I feel like I remember when it was, but like when you first made that comparison between like how you and Michael were friends and how like you like that friendship aspect of the relationship. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. I'm like, fuck, that's a really good point. I think if we had been doing this a couple years ago, even as someone who loves Garrus, who loves Mass Effect 2, I probably would have given him like a 4. Like, I was really not big on the Turian romance, and I always just thought, like, he's your buddy. He's a buddy character. Even if it's female Shepard, he should be your buddy. You have talked me up so much at this point. I think I'm at about a 6 for him.
All right.
It's still not a 7 for me, but I think you make such good points on it, and I agree with all of them. And also just, the acting doesn't hurt, for the romance as well. So I give him a 6. Playability.
I brought him everywhere too. I liked him a lot. Like I can't speak to how well the sniper thing worked because I feel like me and Tali with the drones would devastate everything.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, he cleaned up whatever we didn't get. So I'm gonna go at least a 5. Because I can't remember anything else other than he was cleaning up what we missed.
Okay, 5 is good. I think that he can swing a lot. I think that at times I would not call him squishy, but he's definitely not tanky. And he kind of has to be managed a little bit. You do definitely have to tell him to retreat a couple times. And if you don't have the right crew around him, even though he does high damage, it's not great. So unfortunately, I think that stops him from being a 7, but I'll give him a 6.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does do a lot of damage if spec'd correctly and if put in the right team. So, execution.
I don't even know if there was anything I can complain about. The voice is great. I know it's like post-processed too, but like the processing, I think they did great on. It's definitely one of the first like Bioware voices I heard. I was like, oh, hello.
Sure. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Shepard. So I really appreciate that. But I think like the actor also does a good job. I think he was written very well. I like the design. I like the fact that he gets a scar like midway through, and like that's him for the rest of the game in the series.
The rest of the series, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I would go 7. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know where to dock points.
Yes,
on.
you are not wrong at all. I am also going 7 for execution. This is one where again I almost wish I could give it an 8. I think his design it's iconic. It's quintessential. Garrus is the coolest character in Mass Effect not named Shepard.
Yeah.
Like, and that's even including like the Elusive Man from a villain standpoint. The Elusive Man is a just fantastically cool looking villain in design and everything. But Garrus is the coolest character in Mass Effect not named Shepard. The scar, the sniping, the armor, just the attitude. Like, he is amazingly laid back. Like, he can. Here's the thing I would say, and this is also kind of going more into Mass Effect 3, but just as an example of Garrus's character, he can shoot the shit with Vega and compare stories of like epic kills and awesome missions that he went in, and he can also go up to the cockpit and just sort of like swap jokes with Joker. Mm-hmm. He's a badass, but he's also kind of smart and funny, and that's just it's it's incredible that the actor pulls that off so believably.
And yeah, he really just, and he, like, I don't know, if he gets along with everyone, he gets along with me, you deserve your 7, you know?
It's a goddamn 7. Garrus Vicarian, everybody. Okay, now we're still into some pretty lovable characters here. Next up is Morden. The other Solus.
Yeah, really. It's written, well, no, he was written by Weeks in the 3rd game.
Is he not written by Weeks in 2?
I don't think Weeks worked on 2. Did they? I don't remember. I'm not very good with the Mass Effect writers, I'll be honest.
I
know the voice actor changed.
The voice actor did change, which we'll get to that. I guess we should talk about that in 3.
Yeah.
But so Morden overall, I think he's a brilliant character. I think the fact that he is a doctor. He is the only, right? Well, Liara Tassoni has the doctor title, but she's not like a medical doctor.
She's like, you know.
She's one of those doctors. She has.
Yeah, she can tell you all about rocks. I think she does archaeology.
Yeah, that's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, she can tell you about rocks, but like if you're bleeding, it's like.
Yeah, no thanks. Morden's like an actual doctor. He patches people up. He's a doctor who cares about healing people, but he can be kind of cruel. Like when you meet him on Omega, like he's ruthless. Like he will kill people, and he does not mix it. Like he doesn't mix words on the fact that like they're bad guys, they're lethal, they're coming here to kill us, kill them. Like he can be ruthless, but he's not unthinking cruel. He's certainly not bloodthirsty. He's just matter of fact. He's clinical. He's just surgical in the way that he deals with people. He's a former STG. Like, let's just really think about that. Like, okay, Garrus is C-Sec, but in the hierarchy of badasses, it's like Spectres, and then STGs, and then probably like N7s, and then C-Sec. Like, he is one of the most badass characters in the entire Mass Effect franchise, I would say, and he's just as smart as he is deadly. Mm-hmm. Fucking hell, like, conceptually, just that archetype, I think he's one of the best in the franchise. He's a 7 for me.
Yeah, I really can't contest that really. Because like this is how I go more into execution too, but like the way he is written, he this is kind of a in joke between Michael and my friends, because there was this guy we used to know who always spoke a little funny, and we asked him one time, like, why do you, not in an accent, but just like the words he chose. So one day we asked him, like, Robbie, why do you, and we couldn't quite word it, and he goes, oh, the manner in which I speak. We're like, yeah, that, why? So the manner in which he speaks is very like unusual and interesting, and I think works to just describe how different he thinks compared to you.
Brilliant.
And like other Solarian don't talk like that. It's really just him. It's fast, it's concise. He will not spare his words. Like if he has a one-word answer, he's going to be using it. So I don't know. I think I liked him a lot. I would go 7. There's no reason why I would go with 6, really.
Agreed. Romance, unfortunately not, right? That would be great, but...
I wouldn't romance him, but yeah, no, nothing there.
Playability. Look, he is squishy. He goes down too fast. I understand there have to be... I don't always want to use squishy as just a total negative, because some characters should be like a glass cannon. That should be the trade-off. But he's goddamn real squishy. Like, he goes down pretty fucking quick.
That's really all I remember him being. Like, oh, I'm going to take more to Anne, he's dead.
So I will say, I do like the fact that like he has the neural shock. Neural shock is a cool ability where if they're unshielded and it's a organic enemy, they just lights out. Like they just drop and they get back up, but it always just looks cool to just see him drop people like that. And he also had Incinerate and Cryoblast. I always remember that. Like he had the hot cold. Detonations weren't quite as big a thing in 2 as they were in 3 and Andromeda, but I always appreciated his detonations. He's good. He's good. I give him a 5.
Okay.
What was your score for playability?
I just remember the squishy, so I'm actually gonna go with a 4.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
Execution wise, what do you give him?
I mean, again, I think that the writing and specifically the actor like really killed it with like the manner in which he speaks.
Yes.
That is just so memorable. Does he sing in this one?
He does. That is one of the most memorable things that's ever happened in a Mass Effect game.
Yeah, and it's just like and then like you find out he did like show tunes at one point. You're like, oh. I mean, for some reason, I believe that.
Yes, it's amazing that these characters don't come off as a contradiction. It's amazing that, like, if somebody fucking sang in Mass Effect Andromeda, that would make them a 1.
I would cringe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it worked so well in this.
Yeah. And it like... I can't think of anything that clunked for him. And like the quest with like his loyalty quest where you find out about like the genophage and stuff like that, and like seeing his inner struggles, like you really just have a whole range with him. So yeah, I guess 7. Like
yes,
I liked it a lot.
You're not wrong at all. He is the very model of a scientist Solarian. Like if singing show tunes and pulling it off in a way that is funny and endearing and not cringe does not earn someone a 7 for performance, I don't know what goddamn does. So I'm giving it a 7.
That's fair, yeah. Like, I feel like I've never heard anyone's not like that scene. And, like, even with the Dawn Will Come and Inquisition, like, there's people that don't like that. You know?
Which they're crazy, by the way.
But, like, I've never heard anyone say that they don't like the model Solarian thing. You know?
God.
Like, everyone's like, oh, Morden.
Not to talk about DAI too much, but goddamn, I roll a tear goddamn near every time Cullen starts singing, because you're just like, oh my god, even Cullen is singing. Fuck.
Cullen would never sing either.
The fucking general is singing. Okay, so Morden doing quite well. Next up, the young Krogan, Grunt.
I mean, he was... It's like... a baby with a bazooka. Oh, you're deadly, but you're so cute.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I really like... I don't know where you find this out. It might have been Shadow Broker. I think I read about it. But, like, he has little dinosaur figures that he plays with and he likes. Yes. And he just, like, likes...
He's a child. He is a child.
And it's cute and endearing. But at the same time, it's just... I don't know. Like... I wouldn't go like, oh, he's a 7, but I would probably go like a 5, because like he was just a cute little guy, you know what I mean? And like he's in which to back off on the cute thing. He's also like trying to be a man, if you will, trying to, you know, because he was bred in a tank, right?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
So he wants to be with his people. He's trying to find his culture, and that's like a big arc for him. At the same time, he's also trying to learn like how to be an adult in general. So there's like kind of like that awkwardness. And I thought that was a really nice little storyline. It wasn't like you know, breakthrough or anything, but I thought it was good. I thought it was better than Miranda's story.
Yes,
I'll say that. So I'm going with 5.
I gotta say, this is one where I really struggle with, and the reason why I say I struggle with it is because I think if you drop Grunt into Mass Effect Andromeda, not only is he the best character, I'd probably slam down the 7 so quick it'd make your head spin, because I just think it's a matter of he's in a cast of other 7s. And so it's kind of hard. Like, I'm almost like, oh, I don't want to just keep handing out 7s. But when you stack it all up together, he is a Krogan who is a young Krogan, which, by the way, just that alone is interesting because we see Krogan a lot of times who are hardened and battle ready because Krogan live a long time. Even Rex, who's probably more middle-aged Krogan, is still several hundred years old. And so that's kind of what we're used to. So young Krogan, even a natural-born young Krogan, is good. The fact that he was bred in a tank is incredible. The fact that he was bred in a tank to be the perfect Krogan is incredibly interesting. The fact that the Krogan are, let's face it, a dying race, essentially, and he is this Krogan who, of all Krogan, he needs culture, and he needs family, and he needs a place in the world based on his people, and his people are dying and going away, and the ones that are around, half of them are mercenaries who don't have an identity about being Krogan. They're just a gun for hire. And in this weird way, Shepard, because he tells Shepard, like, you're my clan leader, like, I want to, like, and you can headbutt him, and he respects that. There's all this weird stuff of, like, he's your friend, but Shepard's also kind of like a mother or father figure to Grunt. I'm kind of reluctant to give the 7, but I feel like if I wasn't grading him based on the curve, he's a goddamn 7 on concept, on character. So I'm going to give it to him. And I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna hit him on some other places, but at least for the character concept and the archetype, he's a 7 to me.
Okay.
Playability, on the other hand, this is one where I think I can hit him on. Right, like he probably should be hands down the best tank, and for some reason, I just don't think that he is.
Yeah.
And I also think that offensively, he never quite. I just expected him to do a lot more than he did, and unfortunately, I think of him, quote unquote, being the perfect Krogan in action. I feel like he was actually pretty disappointing. Not bad overall, but just disappointing considering how hyped up he is in the cutscenes, basically.
Yeah, I got that same feeling where like he's like, oh, okay, cool, the perfect Krogan, and then like you're on the playfield, you're like, oh, you're kind of just mediocre.
Normal Krogan.
Yeah, you're just a normal Krogan. So
I give him a 4 personally.
Yeah, I would also go there.
Okay, 4. Execution, what are you thinking?
I think the voice actor did a great job, which I have the wiki open.
Steve Bloom.
Apparently same voice actor as
I was going to say, I'm so curious about this. Like, what are you going to give him? Because it's your boy Ogren. Steve Bloom is perennial. He's everywhere.
There's Ogren and there's Steve Bloom. You know, like they're two separate people. I don't like Ogren, but Steve Blum I think did the best he could, and I think he does great with Grunt.
Yeah.
Like all right. I mean, on execution, I don't know like it's one of the things like I feel like the only places I would dock points is that I guess like how you said, like it's unfortunately there's just a really good cast here. Like I think ME2 has the strongest characters, and unfortunately it's just like I like some of the other ones more, and that's just really just personal preference. I don't think he deserves a 7, Grunt, but I think it's close, so I'm going to go with the 6.
Oh wow, that's really nice. So 6 for Grunt. It's interesting, right? Like performance-wise, it's not a Steve Bloom thing, right? I think he delivers on what was asked of him about as well as he possibly could have. Grunt doesn't sound like I think many people could easily slip into like almost like a Neanderthal, like a total rockhead character. And Grunt needs to sound like an immature Krogan, and he does, but he doesn't sound like dumb. And he puts emotion and inflection in the right spaces. So I think Steve Bloom does the right thing. Some of the dialogue though is just really does kind of border up against being kind of cheesy.
I don't remember that, to be honest. Maybe just because, like, he was young to me, so, like, saying cheesy things is, like, a sign of youth.
It's true.
But, yeah, I guess I don't remember that, and it didn't bother me. But
I think it lands more often than it doesn't. As it's still a good score. I'm going to give him a 5 because I think it's still good. I knock him a little bit on that aspect of it.
Okay.
Okay, now one of my favorites, and I think one of yours. I'm not sure. We'll find out. What do we think about Thane, the Drell assassin?
Thane. I actually really liked the character a lot. Like the idea of a guy who like lost the love of his life and is an assassin and is also dying of a deadly disease. So just kind of like, fuck it. You know? Like, I was really compelled. I really fought if I should do Garrus or Thane romance. And the only reason I didn't do the Thane romance is because like he didn't really transfer over to like Mass Effect 3. And
but trust me, the payoff is so worth it in 3.
I know, it's a good payoff. I'll say that. But at the time, so to put you in the headspace I was in when I was playing this game, it was like my last year of college, and like I was so busy with like other stuff, like graduating and getting married. I'm like, I don't want the emotional trauma. So,
yeah.
That's where I went. Probably now, if I redid the game and like doing a serious run, I'd probably try Thane. But yeah, that's another story, and that's another topic we'll talk in a minute. But I love talking with them. I think the character was great. I love the idea of like him like accepting death. You know, like that's kind of. I mean, like he's already accepted it, but like talking with the guy who has accepted that about himself. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna die. So, yeah, I'll go on the suicide mission. Oh, no, I die earlier. Oh, oh no. And he's also, like, deeply religious.
Phenomenal,
and, like, kind of, not resentful, but remorseful for what he's done and really trying to be a better person. And then also just, like, the regret he has for his son. And, like, I believe his loyalty mission in this game was, like, him just trying to make sure his son doesn't go down the same path he did, right?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah. And like trying to just be a good father, and the father he wasn't before now. So just like, no, I think it's a great character design. Just, I feel like Thane in Mass Effect 2 is just trying to wrap up all of his like earthly wrongdoings and trying to do something that's good for the world. And I love that. I thought it was great. Do
it. Just do it.
We've been giving so many, though.
Look, it's not our fault Mass Effect 2 is so fucking amazing.
You're right. Okay, we'll give him this.
He deserves it. When you think about it, I mean, you already kind of named a lot of it, but like, he is a man who lost the love of his life, who met the love of his life while being an assassin. Okay, so first of all, let's just start off with the fact that he's a goddamn assassin. And he's not, like, Thane is not an assassin in the way that Cora is a, air quotes, Asari commando. Because when you see Cora, you're like, okay, you're an Asari commando? I guess Asari commandos ain't shit then, because... like, what do you do? Like, you know, where were you when my dad was dying? Like, so much for Asari commandos. Like, from the moment you see... No, from before the moment you see Thane, he's legendary. Because bodies are dropping out of the ventilation shaft in that building as you're going up Dantius Tower, and you're going, what? Who the hell is this? He's killing dudes I can't even see right now, beating Shepard up the tower, right? Like basically proving that he's your superior in the art of death. And then that opening cutscene with Thane is one of the coolest scenes in the history of Mass Effect, where he hand-to-hand combats an entire room and just smacks everybody around. If they just stopped there, he'd probably be a goddamn 6. But no. He met the love of his life doing a job. She changed him. He lost her. His son is going down the same route that he was. He's found a religion that he believes in profoundly. He's introspective and reflective about his life. He has a terminal illness and he's dying, and he wants to find some measure of redemption by A, helping his son, and B, helping you hopefully prevent galactic destruction, and he doesn't care what happens to him because his time is limited anyway. Similar to Garrus, I wish I could give him an 8, and he's another example of I feel like Bioware just giving themselves license to say, look, let's just throw it all in there. Let's just, even if some of it's cliche, even if it is some of it is often used tropes, fuck it, doesn't matter. Let's make him as badass and cool as we possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hey. Like, I mean, it's like I said, it's a 7 that should be an 8. Romance. What rating do you give him?
So, okay, this is definitely coming from a personal space, so I'll admit that. But I'm a very monogamous person. I'm going to say that. I don't like sharing.
That is your prerogative, indeed.
Yeah. So and like it just kind of happened to work out that like I married my first boyfriend. You know, like it's kind of fun facts, I guess. And then I'm Michael's first serious girlfriend as well. So like there's always like kind of been like we've only had one, you know, and that's something I really enjoy a lot. And like it's another reason I chose Garrus over Thane. There's just something selfish in me that like, but you had the love of your life and I know it's not me.
Oh, wow.
And like, I like that as a concept. I think it's great. I didn't want to choose that. So, but I like that they have that where like you can fall in love with this character and you can fall in love with many people in your life, but like you know, you're always going to not be whatever her name was. You're not going to be the love of his life. You're not going to be the most important woman in his life. And I think that's great that they have that. I like that as a concept. So, like, despite me going on here and, like, you're probably... I guess I would go with a 7, you know? Like, you know this is kind of a fling. He's not going to live very long. You know you're not the woman that changed him and the mother of his child and the most important woman in his life. But that doesn't mean he can't love you, you know? And I like that as a conceptual idea. So... Yeah, I guess that's where I'm coming from.
You're going with a 7, then.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. It's just not something that I personally would choose.
Okay.
Like, you know, that's why I went with the Garrus because you know I just wanted my cinnamon roll.
Yeah,
but
that's brilliant. I love your thinking
like
on that. I love your background on it, and I appreciate the fact that you still appreciate the concept of what they did. So I totally agree with your 7. By the way, I'm also going 7. For basically a lot of the reasons that it's just so unique. And we've talked before about, hey, do more unique romances. And, well, this is pretty goddamn unique. Like falling in love with a terminally ill man who, you know, to kind of piggyback a little bit on the sort of the narrative thread that you were going on. Like, yeah, you're not his, and I know you weren't knocking it, but like you're not his first great love or whatever it was, but he lost that, right? It's not like it didn't work out or he chose not to. Like he experienced a great loss, and I love the idea that even if he's dying, he gets to find a little bit of love again before he's dead. I know that's super sappy and corny, but that's a look, if you're gonna do fucking Bioware romances, might as well do them a little sappy and corny. I just think it's brilliant, and the fact that he's an assassin, but he's also very sort of in touch with his emotions. I mean, come on.
You gotta love it. 7.
All right, goddamn Thane, I gotta hit you somewhere, so it's time to hit you on playability.
Yeah, I remember him being dead a lot, to be quite honest, and I didn't bring him that often. I don't even remember him being a glass cannon, but like maybe that's because I spec'd him wrong, because I'm not very good at spec'ing people. But
he should have been a glass cannon, but he wasn't. He is basically like exactly what I described with Grunt, but worse. For the galaxy's greatest assassin, I'm like, dude, you couldn't assassinate a paper bag.
Yeah.
And again, I know I made that comparison to Korra, but what I meant by that was like Korra in cutscenes even is not powerful. Do you know what I mean? Like at least Thane in cutscenes looks badass, so he has that aesthetic. But the gameplay, yeah, he's got to get a 3, and that pains me. But he goes down a lot.
I'll echo that. Yeah, I'll do 3. But I feel like that's all like maybe this doesn't exist, but I feel like you could also fix that with mods. Is that not true? Could you?
It is a little bit fixable with mods, and one of the simple sort of modifications you can do. I don't even know if it's a mod you can download, but I knew how to do it with the ME Explorer or one of the different ones. Just change his loadout so that he's basically just pistols. Like take away his sniper rifle because he's useless with it anyway. And then boost up some other stuff. Like, yeah, if you give him a little bit more health and things like that, it's quite good. I always wanted to, and I don't think I could ever get it to work, mainly because she was a DLC character, but I always wanted to take that Kasumi ability that I described earlier and give it to Thane, because I thought it was more appropriate for him. to disappear and show up behind someone and hit him, and then just like that to me was the assassin power they should have given him.
Yeah, that would be.
But
cool.
in any event, I give him a 3.
All right.
Did you go 3 also for playability or?
Yeah,
okay. So also 3 there. Execution. All right, back to the good shit.
I love the voice.
Yes.
Also, can we talk? So the voice actor. This is completely off topic, but the voice actor is named Keith Farley. He was born like Keith, as you would like any other Keith, but then he decided to go by the spelling of Keythe.
Interesting.
Look, my name's Caitie, and I spell it Caitie. I get it, but I was born that way. My parents gave me that name. It's dumb. I understand. The fact that you Keith, the fact that you chose this life, why did you do this to yourself? Having a dumb spelling of a name has been nothing but a curse, Keith. What have you done?
He's staying Creole. Leave him alone.
He did a great job. I'll
Fantastic.
say that. No, okay. The voice is great. I like. He like. I remember being very subdued, but like because he's a man that's accepted his faith. Like it wasn't like the subdued we were talking about with Miranda. It's subdued in that like that's who he is, and like he couldn't act like he could like get there emotionally like with his son and whatnot. But like for the most part, he was like, yeah, I killed a lot of people. I met a woman I really liked. But yeah, we're chill. I forgot what the name of his religion or the goddess was, but but yeah, no, I liked the performance. I like the character design. I'm still not quite sure because like if you look at his hands, essentially like the 2 middle fingers are fused together, and it looks like 2 middle fingers are fused together. I feel like that should just look like one finger. But I understand that's just like the limitation of like the models they had to do. But I like that he looks like a fish man. Like he looks like the swamp thing, you know. I kind of like that. I thought that was interesting.
The Drell are amphibious, but their planet, they haven't actually been on their planet for many generations now, and so they are evolving away from the webbed limbs.
Mm-hmm. And like there's also the he never forgets, right, or something like that.
Yes, he has a beyond a photographic memory.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, I can't really like knock it. Like I thought the writing was good. I like the design. I don't know. Should I go for this? I think I'm gonna go with the 6 though, because I feel like there's some like alien design wise. I feel like it is just the swamp thing, which is fine.
Okay.
And like for some reason the fingers have always bothered me. it's a high 6 though. I know this is very petty. Yep. But I'm going to go 6.
Okay, we'll give Thane a 6 on that. The only thing I can say design-wise that I didn't enjoy was I thought that the coat thing was a weird choice, and then it was weird because Drell, after a while, that became the model for Drell, so every Drell had that weird coat. And I'm like, what, do they all have the same coat? That's not really a knock against him, though. That's just kind of a weird quirk with the system.
This is more of a stream thing, so if you only listen to the podcast, this is going to come out of nowhere. But he has a boob window, if I'm looking at the coat correctly. Like, he has, like, this weird, like, window for the titty pecs, but then he has, like, a collar.
Oh, he has a collar. You're right.
He has that collar. It's a boob window. So he, like, this is the Supergirl of Mass Effect costumes. You know what I mean? Where it's just, like, a window for the cleavage.
Well, there is that.
It's a little weird. I'll say that.
But otherwise, I will say I think that his design is fantastic. I think that the Drell, he's the first Drell you basically see. I think that the Drell look unique and they look appropriately alien. Mm-hmm. The voice is goddamn fantastic. Keith Weird Spelling Farley is the man, and he can call himself whatever he wants because the performance I think is utterly genius. Talking to Thane has always been one of my favorite things to do in Mass Effect. He is one of those ones where you go after every mission to go talk to him, and you hope that it triggers another long scene because you just want to listen to him talk. Mm-hmm. I think that the dialogue is subtle. I love the fact that in conversations with Thane, it kept me on my toes. He's not one of those characters that just sort of agrees with everything you say or that likes everything that you say. He's counterintuitive at times, especially when talking about his past. He says things that surprise me, and again, the acting is superb. I'm going all the way up to a 7 for execution for him.
All right.
Wow, so what a killer run of characters we've got going here.
Yeah, really.
Samara, let's see if Samara holds up to this curve. I don't know. What do you think on Samara?
I think I liked the idea of her more than the execution, so we'll get there in a minute. But I like the idea of like in ancient, what would you? I guess Justicar, but like
they're a monastic order.
Yeah, like I was trying to think of a good term better than saying just space monks that are also police, but I couldn't really come up with it. But yeah, no, I liked how stoic she was. Like I feel like she's kind of what I wanted out of Miranda. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Okay.
Like I wanted someone who's like, this is the job I'm doing. And I'm not fooling around. This is very serious. And there we go. Rather than just being, like, kind of cold. Like, Samara's coldness is so much different than Miranda's. You know? Like, it's not... Like, I feel like Miranda's is a front, where Samara's is, like... You know she's keeping herself distant because she has a job to do and you're not it, you know?
Oh, Jesus, you're so right. You're so right. That is such a great angle on Samara. God damn it, my score's going up in my head. Son of a bitch. You're so right. Like, not like exactly what you said, but it's like Miranda's coldness is disingenuous. It is a front. It is a layer. Whereas the stoicism that Samara practices is 180 degrees the opposite, because in many ways, that's the place that she landed in by being very genuine with herself. Right, by sort of knowing who she is and she even says, like, it's not that I don't have the same desires as other people. It's that I've made a choice to sort of embark on this path and hold to these principles, and that's what I'm doing. So, like, she's very self-aware of herself, and the stoicism is not fake. It's just a choice. That's fucking brilliant as a character concept.
Yeah. I like the concept. I'll even say, like, when Michael was playing the game, that's how he was kind of imagining the character. So, like, he didn't really do the Samara romance, but I think, like, he kind of imagined, like, oh, I see who you are. Like, we kind of understand each other. Like, there was this understanding between
Ditto.
them. So, like, that's what Michael really liked. At least that's what I remember him saying he liked. But this is where he barges in and goes, "No, I wanted the tits and ass girl." But no. Yeah, so but with that all being said, though, I wish there was more of her, because I remember she, like, it makes sense she didn't talk to you that much, but at the same time, I kind of wish there was some better ways to explore that. Yeah, so she doesn't deserve a 7, but I think I'm torn between a 5 and a 6, because I really like the idea a lot, but I don't know how much of that was, like, me filling in the blanks. You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
I think I'll go a 5, but I do really like her character concept a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So 5 is still not a bad score at all. God, Samara, I am a little bit torn on this, because I think that there's a lot of stuff on paper that puts her right up there with these other folks that we've just talked about, right? Like, she's an Asari Justicar, which is a really cool order to see in the Mass Effect universe, right? A monastic order of Asari who are the pinnacle of strength, the pinnacle of discipline, but the juxtaposition for that for her is her daughters, right? All of her daughters are Ardakyashi, which is a really weird thing, and one of them is completely psycho and going around killing people, and that's obviously her loyalty quest. And then the thing that you said about Miranda is really, really interesting. I feel like there's an argument to be made that she is a 7. However, at a certain point, I wonder if the curve doesn't come into play, because it's just like, is she really on the same level as Thane and Garrus?
I don't think
and
she
Morden
is, no.
And these other characters. And she's fracking brilliant, and there's a lot to her, but I'm just trying to feel like, how do I express that there's something about Miranda that does seem like unfulfilled potential. Like, on paper, what I just described should be a 7, but there was something about it that's not necessarily the performance. I think maybe it is just screen time. Like, I think maybe it is just, like, for some reason, for somebody that important, she ended up being a little bit more passive than she should have been.
Yeah.
I'm going to give her a 6. That
Okay.
almost pains me, honestly.
Now, romance. Do we want to save that for 3?
Yes, we'll save romance for 3.
Okay.
Playability. This is another one that's kind of interesting because I think that she's got a pretty decent range between being holy crap really powerful and sometimes not necessarily doing as much damage as I would have liked, or she doesn't really go down too easy. She's pretty solid on that respect. I think she's probably the most powerful or the best biotic though, and I think that does a lot for her, so I'm going to give her a 5.
Okay.
Okay, so we have now gone back and realized before Caitie gives her score for playability, we do have to go back and talk about Samara's.
Sorry,
it's going to be a little bit jumbled, but we have discovered that we've remembered that because Samara is not in Mass Effect 3, in order as a companion, she's there as a character, but she's not in your party. That if we're going to be consistent, because we already kind of talked about Jacob's, the end of that romantic subplot, including 3. We kind of have to talk about Samara now for her Mass Effect 3 romantic content. So I guess, what's your score on playability, and then we'll.
Yeah. Playability. If I remember correctly, she is the best biotic, right?
It's between her and Jack.
Her and
yeah.
Jack. Jack is Jack. So I always liked her more than Jack, so I brought her more. But that being said, I wasn't like a huge fan of biotic abilities, so I'm gonna go with a 5.
Okay, we're doing a 5.
Yeah.
Romance. I'll tell you, I'm not gonna rate this very high because I do always think it's one of those truncated romances, and it's not a huge knock. I really like the Samara friendship route a lot more anyway. I kind of like the idea that she sticks to her monastic order and her pledge and all that stuff, and I just kind of like. I feel like that's the truest version of her character. The romantic content's not bad once you get to it. There is a sort of a rapport in that, she and Shepard have similar values. And she's obviously, she's a character that gets the appreciation for a good reason, but I'm going to give it like a 4.
I would go with 3. I like the idea more than the execution,
yeah.
And I think that's what gets like. I kind of wish there was like maybe more of a instead of a will they won't they. It was kind of like we're not going to get together, but I really appreciate you, were we not who we are, we could turn this into something, but we just can't. And I kind of wish it was like that rather than how it is. So I feel like a 3. Like it's not. It could have been something, and then like there's what's there isn't bad necessarily. I just don't think it works as well as it could have. So there it goes.
Okay.
Now hold on. What did we give Morinth? I think I gave her a 3 too.
You were consistent, so you gave Morinth a 3. I gave Morinth a 5.
Well, okay.
The Exalted
God. I
March.
kind of want to give Samara a 4 now because I think Samara is better than Morinth. So I'll give her a 4. I'm editing this.
You're giving Samara a 4. Yeah. I'm leaving my Morinth 5.
That's
the Exalted
fine, yeah.
March. The Exalted March hierarchy of principles is fuck the crazy chick that wants to kill you. All right, it's more fun, folks. You only live once.
Oh God, your poor girlfriend.
Okay. Execution. What are we doing?
I feel like I get a tweet about this every week. Yeah, sure. The voice actor is the mother of Billie Eilish.
Yes,
we know this. Thank you. It's interesting. Anyway, I think she does a good job. Like, I feel like where she's gonna lose points for me is just like she just wasn't there a lot, like she really just was more of a background character. So I'm gonna give her a 5. I like her. I like the idea more than the execution.
So you're going 5.
Yeah,
I think that is. It's a good score, and I'm really looking right now at Jacob and Miranda, and we gave them 4s, and I'm really wondering like. I don't think that I thought Maggie Bear did a good job with Samara. It does land in the same place a lot. It's not a bad job whatsoever. Like we're not in bad territory. She's at least a 4 or a 5 for me, but it does land in the same place quite often.
But like that kind of works for me with that character. I don't know.
I agree that sort of like it's not vacant, but the sort of distant sounding voice. It does work. You're right. It does work. You know what? Here's why I'm going to give it a 5. Because when she talks about her daughters, it is exactly what we talked about with her main character concept. It's not that she's cold and boring. It's that she is making an attempt to be restrained. And I think there are a couple of lines of dialogue that are very hard to pull off from that aspect of being like very in control and disciplined with your emotions, but also there's clearly emotion there. I think that's pretty hard to do. So I'll give it a 5. So that's a 5 for Samara on execution. We're down to the last couple here. I realized we didn't do Legion with the other truncated ones, which is fine. We'll do Legion last since he's fucking last.
I mean, like.
But before we talk about our favorite Geth, let's talk about our favorite psychotic biotic, Jack.
I haven't heard that.
Psychotic biotic? It's in the game.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, or maybe it's in the trailers. Maybe it was in the marketing material.
Again, it's been a while since I played this series, so maybe it's there, but I do not remember that.
Psychotic
anyway,
biotic. What do you think of Jack? Are you going low on Jack? Watch out.
Okay, I don't hate Jack. It's just that, like, I didn't care.
Her pain was just a nuisance to you.
I mean, a little bit. Because like, it's not that it doesn't make sense or whatever, but someone who's just constantly angry all the time, I'm just like, oh boy. Like she's very aggressive and in your face, and I just got tired. But it's not like a bad character necessarily. It's just like me as a player was like, all right, what are you mad at this time? Like,
sure, she's always angry. It's like that teenager who's just always mad, and eventually you're just like, you're always mad about everything.
Yeah, like, can you just calm down for like 10 seconds? Like, even Fenris, I think, had more of a sense of humor and like kind of chilled out.
Oh, I disagree with that entirely. But I see where you're coming from.
So, but like, I guess character. I don't know. I would put her. I'm going to put her as a 4 because I'm just like,
okay.
It's bad.
Still not a bad score, but okay, you're going 4.
I don't know. It just didn't click with me. I do like her better in 3, where she kind of like, she's more like, I think her as like that teaching role, I think really elevates the character a little bit for me. And because she's not is she a companion?
She's not a companion in 3.
Okay, so we do have to kind of include that. I liked the teacher aspect of that. I like that she has learned to like connect with other people and stuff like that. I guess I just feel like the Jack in Mass Effect 2 was like me trying to constantly do therapy with her and be like, Pat, it's okay, and it just felt like work. Where Mass Effect 3, it's like, oh,
it's
thank
finally
God
working.
You solved your own problems. Yeah. You're doing it yourself this time. Oh, thank God. So yeah, I guess that's where I'm coming from. So I'll still give her a 4, but yeah,
okay.
That's
look, I like Jack conceptually a lot. I think that the fact that she is a very powerful human biotic, the fact that she was kidnapped basically not at birth but as a very young child by Cerberus, horrible experimentation was done on her. She's got that backstory going for her. The fact that when you talk to her, she's one of the most reluctant or outright she's opposed to being your friend, which I always quite enjoy. All of that is good, right? The anger, the fact that her recruitment mission is one of the best recruitment missions out of all. I mean, the recruitment missions in Mass Effect 2 are pretty fucking good as far as Thanes and Garrus. And even so, I think Jax is in the running for the best one of breaking into the prison to get her out. And yet, I do agree that similar to Samara, there's something about her that seems like she doesn't quite hit that top range. And I guess it's just that it's not that she's one note, because she's not one note. She's like 2 note. she's almost one note, and then there's that sort of like that layer of ambiguity. I guess I have to. There's a part of me that, again, same with Samara. I think that there is a strong argument for why she could be a 7, but I think in this case, I feel like she slots better as a 6.
All right.
Romance.
If I remember correctly, she's the romance where, like, if you do a fling with her, like, that locks off the actual romance.
Correct.
Yeah, I like that that's a thing. But so after that, though, I know I watched it. I don't remember her romance at all. So, yeah, tell me your feelings. Maybe I'll jog my
No, I mean, I think that's exactly it. I think people remember that the most. And I think that in many ways, conceptually, that was a good thing to include, but it's a very binary sort of on-off switch way of handling it, right? It's a very RPG, like you tripped the plot flag, therefore she won't talk to you anymore. It just felt like a very sort of inelegant way to execute the concept of that, specifically about the fling versus committed relationship. I still give them a ton of credit for putting that in there. I think in 2010 that was ahead of its time. And I'm glad. And I think Jack's romance to me is like a lot of things with Jack, where I don't think it's aged particularly well over the past few years, but I honestly think it's going to come back around. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in the execution section. But no, I think that her romance is certainly worthwhile. I think that it's certainly good. I think, she makes reference to the fact that she sort of got in with some people that were her friends. And it's sort of alluded to that she maybe also had a sexual, or maybe she says it explicitly, where she had a sexual relationship with like more than one person, kind of like an open relationship, and she doesn't feel great about that. It doesn't come off as a condemnation of any particular lifestyle. Just Jack didn't feel great about it. And so I think that sort of having her open up to a committed relationship was a really good thing. But for whatever reason, it never seems as memorable as it could, and it never ever feels like it's the canon one for me. Maybe I'm not explaining it quite well enough to justify my score, but I'm going to give it a 5.
I'm still going to go. Yeah, like I have a vague memories now. But I'm going to go a 4 just because
it's in that range. No, yeah, I mean, that's totally acceptable score to give it. Playability, what did you think?
I mean, I think, I didn't bring her out that often because I like Samara more, but I don't know. Biotics. Again, I wasn't a huge fan of Biotics. I know that's unusual for me because I like the magic in games.
They were comparatively underwhelming, like especially now with Mass Effect 3, which did way more with like punch to them, and then now in Andromeda, it's the best it's ever been. Like the Mass Effect 2 powers seem underwhelming by comparison.
Yeah, so I guess what did I give Samara?
You gave Samara a 5 on playability.
I'll just give that to Jack.
Okay.
Because I feel like I remember her more as a character I'm using than a character that I'm talking with, if that makes any sense. So that kind of fits with my memory.
Yeah, Jack, I think if you upgrade her shockwave the right way, it's fun. She can really knock the crap out of people, and she doesn't really die too much. She has a shotgun. She's actually somewhat decent with it. I can't put her up there like in a super high ranks, but again, I don't think I should really put her that much lower than, say, Samara. Yeah, I'll give her a 5.
All right.
Execution. There's a lot here, I feel.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and say like a 4 because I feel like the idea isn't necessarily bad, but and the voice actor's fine. She did fine. But yeah, I don't know. I just it just was forgettable somehow, And the only thing I really remember is anger and that she was abused as a child because of the experiments. And like, there's so much more to that, I know, but like just 4.
Oh, interesting. So I am really grabbing because we've been including, I think, character design, like visual design in execution with a lot of the other ones, which I don't know if we did that originally in the early episodes of these, but I think it's an absolutely appropriate thing to categorize with execution. And I think Jack is anything but forgettable when it comes to her character design and how she looks. I think she's one of the most unique and memorable. If anything, I think her voice acting, although it's totally competent, is overshadowed by her look, right? So in some sense, I feel like her voice becomes forgettable because the look is so standout. I think that the tattoos and the bald and the fact she's not really wearing clothes, she's kind of wearing suspenders. When I said that parts of Jack have not aged well over the years, I think that kind of falls into that character category. Like, she was a really cool, badass, quote unquote, psychotic biotic she was a real 2010 type of character.
Oh, yeah.
And around 2016, 2017, I think she's probably like the peak of her falling out of fashion. And I have a feeling, or maybe it's just a hope, that we won't sort of look down on that type of character design as much. It kind of goes back to a little bit of what I was saying with Garrus and Thane about their character concept, where I think there's almost sort of like this apologetic feeling for making things, for laying on the sort of badass aesthetic too thick. And I think we might be moving away from that badass guilt, I'll call it. And so I honestly think that Jack might be, I think that the design on Jack will probably come back around. So for that reason, I'm giving her like a 6.
Okay. I think her design is good. Like, it's definitely very iconic. Like, we all remember her design, but I can't remember her story. You know, but I almost, it's, I don't know. I feel like her design is maybe too loud at the same time. Like, it should be, because that's who she is. So like, I'm sticking with the number I gave.
Oh,
but
that's a good score.
I can appreciate the design. That's what I'm saying.
All right, let's land this Normandy SR2. Legion, last up on the list. What do we think of Legion?
Well, you're the robot hater, so you got to start.
Well, okay, I'll be happy to start. Legion gets a fucking 7. Because Legion is, I mean, look, if we're gonna sit here and talk about uniqueness and character concept, he's a goddamn Geth. Like, he is a goddamn talking Geth. Getting a Darkspawn party member would be the only thing equivalent, right? Like, when that moment happened and he's just like Shepherd Commander, you know, and the eyeball with the fucking flashlight moves, and he has the N7, he has a piece of the N7 armor on, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, it is still one of the coolest moments in Mass Effect, in any Bioware game, in gaming history. Like, I mean, there's no way, there's almost no other comparison that can possibly make sense. It's like one of the fucking Goombas in Mario all of a sudden talking to you and becoming your friend. The first conversation with him, I mean, I could just go on and on. He's a 7. He as far as character concepts, it's goddamn brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, because we're also throwing in the third game, because he's not a whatever. But like his companion quest in 3, where like, does this unit have a soul? Like, that's huge. Like, that's what, like, if you have an Alexa, go ask Alexa that, you know, like, it's cultural. He'll say something back, because it's that iconic to the series now for a reason, and it's probably one of the better moments. I think Legion was unfortunately, he's, you know, there at the last 10 minutes of the game, maybe, like, you know,
third act for sure.
It definitely done a lot of time there, and which is sad, because I wish he could bring him more places. So yeah, I would go 7. He's great.
Yeah, I'm talking about his loyalty mission in 3. His actual, I don't even know if we would call it his loyalty mission, or it is effectively, where you have to decide whether or not to override the heretic Geth and everything. Mm-hmm. It's brilliant. They really tackle, and this is something that we harp on in Andromeda, they really go head first into like the problem of artificial intelligence, but by doing that, you get to see both sides, the validity and the concerns, in a much more thorough way by treating it as an actual problem. So yeah, fantastic. Playability, what did you think?
He was there for such a short period.
Exactly.
I don't even remember.
It's a problem, and I struggle sometimes, even though I've played the game so many times, I always kind of struggle to remember, but he actually is pretty good. He does not die quickly. Like, he has a good amount of health. Mm-hmm. He does a good amount of damage. He has similar sort of Geth counteracting abilities as Tali, and so, you know, it's really interesting. Like, do we knock him we wouldn't knock him on character, we would knock him on execution, but do we knock him on gameplay because he's not around very much?
See, I would put that in execution, not gameplay.
That's interesting. I don't know if I could feel good knocking him on execution there, but I do feel like, well, how useful is he if he's just not around that much?
I mean, it's well. Where do you want to put that section then? Because I guess that
I want to put it in gameplay.
I would put it. I guess I would make an argument for execution because they did, like as you said, there is a mod where you can bring Legion other places, and he has dialogue. They did at one point think maybe we could do this with him, but then they decided not to for whatever reason. So I feel like that's more execution than gameplay.
But they did do that for the plot reason, right? Like they thought that it's not that they didn't like Legion. They just thought they didn't want to reveal that aspect of the plot until late.
Right, but like that's still like, and like maybe it's better for the plot. I don't know, but I guess I would still put that in execution rather than gameplay.
Well, we could do it. I mean, let me think about this. Does that even out? If I knock him a couple demerits on playability and you knock him a couple merits on execution, I mean it evens out, right?
I mean, yeah, that would.
I honestly love his abilities to attack Geth, and I like his like Geth infiltrator tree a lot. I probably would have given him a 6, but I think I'll give him a 5 because of the truncated nature of his appearance for gameplay.
See, I was going to give him a 5 too.
Okay.
So
right. Well, that actually works. What would you give him then for execution?
Execution, I thought the voice was fine. I like the character design. I like that he has the N7 and like there's kind of like an idol thing going on. But yeah, well, because he doesn't appear until the whatever, I'm probably going to give him a 6.
Ooh, okay. So you would have gone maybe as high as a 7 if it was.
Honestly, this is going to be so dumb, but I was thinking like I was kind of debating a 5. And then I was remembered, but the animators are really clever with giving him like expressive eyebrows.
You're exactly right.
And I'm like, but that was so clever. Okay, I'll have to give it to them. Because like you think like, how do you make a Geth expressive? And then they did.
The bulb moving and like rotating, it looks like he's squinting, right, when he says certain stuff, and the little flaps on top looking like it's genius. DC Douglas, I mean, right? Like that's crazy, but it's DC Douglas doing a phenomenal job. On the voice, you just said it right there with the expressiveness. I think it's one of the most unique and one of the most well executed and one of the most believable. As the anti-robot guy, as the guy who's like, fuck, shoot this goddamn Geth in the face. I mean, for many playthroughs, I just sit there going like, he's likable. Like, god damn, he's likable. Not only is he, and he's not likable because he's subservient or because he's, being like overly copacetic. He's like, no, I'm a Geth. I'm here to do what Geth do, but there's a problem. We need to fix it. Like he's not being overly conciliatory, likable. Like he stands his ground. He's just smart and kind of clever, and the acting is good. He's a 7 for me on execution.
All right.
Holy moly, we did it. God damn, this marathon. 2 hours in.
Yeah, really.
And let's tally them up. Okay.
Well, you tally them up. You got the spreadsheet.
Yes, I will tally them up. Okay, the scores have been tallied up. Let's play the guessing game. Who do you think had the best romance?
Or best score with romance, right? Or whatever.
However you want to. Yes, we could best score with romance.
Thane?
So the best overall score, including the romances, is
Garrus?
Yes, that's correct. I was gonna say, wait, how have we done it in the past? Did we do it combined score with romance, or did we also call out just the romance scores?
It wasn't just the romance. So it was, I combined all of the scores with the romance total, if that makes sense. And then, so it's, okay, the execution of the character and the romance or whatever is the romance score. And then the non-romance score is just everything minus
just the O
sense?
column and then the L column. I know you can't see it, but.
Yeah, I know I built it, but that was a while ago.
Okay. So overall romance score is Garrus, who tops everybody, and Tali comes in second after that.
All right.
If you actually just look at just what we scored on romance, though, Thane is the best romance because we both gave him 7s. We gave Tali 5s on romance, and we split Garrus on a 7 and a 6 for romance. So very interesting that Thane absolutely crushed it on which I just kind of agree. He's just kind of a cool character, and his backstory to everything is really good.
Yeah. I don't disagree with what we did.
Let's talk about who do you think brought up the rear? Who do you think was bottom overall without romance?
Bottom without romance. Oh, without romance? Yeah. Would it be Jacob or Miranda?
It would be Jacob and Miranda, but who do you think is the bottom?
I'm going to go Jacob.
Oh, no. It is actually Miranda.
Miranda's the bottom.
That goddamn mediocrity just got... Which, by the way, like, if you compare her to... Holy shit. She would be tied for the best character in Andromeda, which is actually correct. It's actually correct. Like, I swear to God, folks, I did not plan it out that way, but if you had asked me if the weakest character in Mass Effect 2 is about the best character in Andromeda, I would have said yes. And honestly, like, we talked about Drac, we talked about Jal. They're not... This is not about saying how bad Andromeda is. This is really about saying how goddamn good Mass Effect 2 is. Like, Mass Effect 2 is stacked with characters. It's an all-star team.
That's just so perfect. I have nothing to... That's amazing.
Holy fucking balls, right? Like...
Oh, God. If anyone has any, like, I feel like there's people that are, like, going to say, like, oh, well, you did this wrong, you didn't think of that, whatever. But, like, everyone hearing that, like, the worst-rated Mass Effect 2 characters ties for the best of Andromeda, I think everyone would be like, yeah, all right. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally does. No, it absolutely does. Let me see here. I just want to have the Dragon Age one up, and I'll kind of do that at the end because I'm curious. But okay, so Miranda, Jacob. Who do you think is after Miranda and Jacob? I know we got a ton of characters here.
I think it's going to be one of the DLC ones, so like Kasumi or Zaid or something.
Close-ish. We said that Morinth was basically, we were treating her like that, so she would be, she's actually tied with Jacob. So Miranda was 22, Jacob was 23, Morinth was also 23, and then you are exactly correct that Zaid and Kasumi tie at 24, so they're next. Okay. And then it takes a pretty healthy jump up after that, because we really liked a lot of other people. Who do you think was after that?
I'm going to say Grunt.
Ooh, very close. I mean, you're right on. It's very close. Grunt is tied with someone else, but there's someone right below that.
I don't know.
So who? Jack was next at 30. And then
right. I forgot about her.
Always forgetting about the psychotic biotic. Samara and Grunt tied at 31.
All right.
So they're right in there, just above that. And then we start to get into the characters who are pretty high up there, but who do you think is next?
It's not Thane.
It is Thane.
Oh, it is Thane. Okay, and then is it like Tali Garrus?
Yeah, it's
okay.
Yes, so it's next up. It's Thane, who is at a 33, which is still quite good, and then it's not quite Tali Garrus. You're kind of getting everybody at the very top is very bunched up together, but it's not quite Tali and Garrus. Who would you say is?
Oh, we haven't said Legion yet.
Haven't said Legion. That's correct.
Okay, I don't know.
So that's right. Legion is next. Legion and Morden are tied at 37. And then we talked about this, how she was going to be very high up. Liara at a 38.
Yeah.
And that's basically all me because I just loved Liara that much. And you copied since you hadn't played the DLC.
Yeah.
I still don't think that's a mistake at all. I think if anything, it proves it's like the opposite of Talos. Talos was really bad, but it proves that you can actually do that with a DLC character and have them be phenomenal. She's 38, and very appropriately, who do you think won? If you had to guess the winner.
Oh, Garrus. Well, you already said it was Garrus.
Oh, that's right, because I said it with romance. But for the overall, without romance, they tied. So 39 overall for Garrus and Tali, which I feel is very appropriate. Mm-hmm. Seeing as though they are, quite frankly, utterly brilliant together, and I kind of like the tie. Oh, right. There you have it, folks. Mass Effect 2 Companions. I mean, I think it's going to be very interesting. I think we should do this at the end, once we do 3 and once we do Inquisition, to sort of do... I think what we should do is, first of all, kind of like share the overall numbers, let people sort of give their own ranking, and then compare the communities to ours. But I also think before we do that, we should do like a wrap-up episode where we talk about all of the games, not character by character, but just talk about the cast overall, and make any corrections. I'm going to throw this in there because I know people talking about how dirty I did Zevran. If we want to say, okay, based on the curve, oh, wow, I gave Caden this, but I gave Fenris this or whatever, that seems kind of off. Look at all of them together and then say, do we want to correct any scores?
Yeah. I would say we do that at the very, very end, though. Like, we got to do Inquisition and Mass Effect 3. And I would even say Awakening.
Okay.
But that's yeah. So definitely something I want to do. But
and then that way we can, and then at that point we can also crown the champion, like which game it is that has the highest average. Yeah. So that'll be fun.
I mean, I'll be honest though, as much as I love Dragon Age, just hearing us talk about it, I feel like Mass Effect 2 is gonna run out like a bandit. But,
DAO is probably gonna be pretty up there.
Maybe.
DAO, I think, could be pretty high with Loghain, Morrigan, Alistair. Like, we gave a lot of people really high scores. But anyhow, any other... I think we're done, right? We covered everything, right? Mass Effect 2-wise?
Yeah, I think we did.
Holy crap. This episode's long enough. Caitie, where can the folks find you?
Yeah. Find me on Twitter at Ghildirthalen, YouTube Ghildirthalen. Jordan.
People can find me at The Exalted March on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Now you do the closing. I don't say Duress Roll.
Duress Roll. Okay.
All right, Duress Roll. All right, get out of here, folks.